What's up, guys? I'm Landon from Shoeware, and today we're putting the newest models from Giannis Antetokounmpo and Paul George's shoe lines with Nike head-to-head to kind of see how they compare. But really quick, if this is your first time checking us out, feel free to drop a follow or subscribe wherever you're watching and give this video a like. We would greatly appreciate that. So to touch on the box and the price first, the Zoom Freak 3s come in an orange box with his player logo kind of offset down in the corner. And then the PG5s have Paul's logo kind of blown up on the center of the box. And then of course you're gonna have that camo design for the base on these. And you know that pattern does show up on the shoe as well, which I'll get to in just a second. But for pricing, one of the best parts about each of these shoe lines is that they do fall on the more affordable side of the scale for signature shoes, with Giannis's shoe going for $120, and then the PGs are going for just $10 lower at $110. So I want to go over the design and the appearance for both of these shoes really quick before I get into the performance comparison. So starting off with the colorways, today we do have some colorful options with the Nike Zoom Freak 3 Nike versus the PG5 and both of these models made some noticeable changes from their previous designs. Giannis did add the strap to this year's shoe line, and I am always a fan whenever Nike throws that on there, but you know, the big swoosh from the Nike Zoom Freak 2, I think it had a better look on the upper compared to like this kind of small reverse swoosh in my opinion. But you know, the big reverse swoosh from the Zoom Freak 1 was like a super tough design if you remember those. I definitely like the look for that. But switching it over to the PG5s, they did take away the zipper that ran up the middle of the fours. They took that off of this year's model, and you know, although I did have mixed emotions about the zipper in the beginning, I did end up liking that. So, you know, I know they try not to make models look too similar to each other from year to year, but I honestly do kind of miss that zipper piece. But there are some like white patches along the midsole, kind of running up from the midsole, that are there to help with performance, but they kind of give a weird look just to the appearance of these. But I do like how the pink design on the upper kind of does match the same pattern that shows up on the box. And then the overlays that are highlighted in yellow, you know, they aren't a bad look either. But, you know, honestly, both of these shoes kind of borderline took steps backwards with the appearance compared to their previous models. Although the strap on the Zoom Freak 3s, that was definitely a nice addition. All right, so now breaking down the materials and looking at how each of these shoes do on the court, I'll start off with the cushioning first. So the Zoom Freak 3 did improve on the comfort from last year's Zoom Freak 2 model. The midsole is sort of hollowed out under the front half of the shoe, allowing for there to be two Zoom Air units or like pods up there in that region. And you can definitely feel that whenever you're playing in them, although you don't really feel as much cushioning in the back half. But you can even peek through the midsole and see those cushion pods through the word Air on the side of the shoe, which, you know, that's just unique. I thought that was a pretty cool touch. And then switching it over to the PG5s, these have a full-length air dot strobel that has a super soft feel. So Nike even talks about how you feel like you're walking on a cloud, and you know, these pretty much do exactly that. So definitely a bouncy feel on the PG5s. And then looking at the upper, you know, neither one of these shoes really have the highest quality materials going into that area. The Zoom Freak 3 definitely did go backwards from last year's model just for support. I mean, they did add the strap on there, but that really doesn't do a whole lot for containment. And then for the PG5s, you know, the support isn't really over the top, but it is still solid. You can tell again that the money really didn't go into the upper all that much, but you know, both of these shoes do at least have outriggers to kind of help keep your shoe or help keep your foot, you know, a little bit more contained, give you a wider base that is going to add to the support. And then of course those kind of white pieces that I mentioned in the appearance that kind of are slapped on to the top of that midsole, that's going to help there with the support too. But there was a little bit of heel movement I will say in the PG5. It wasn't anything like over the top. It only happened like a few times, but that was something that I noticed. But then moving on to the bottom of these to look at traction, the PG5 is considerably better in that region. The traction pattern is actually similar to what was used on the Kobe 9. They just pretty much stripped it and threw it exactly onto the PG5, and you know, they played great. I didn't have any issues with slipping at all. But moving to the Zoom Freak 3s, while the traction did get a little bit better from last year's Zoom Freak 2 model, these still have work to do. You know, they really aren't very sticky, and while they do have some thicker grooves on the bottom, they still have some inconsistencies just to go with performance, so that could be improved in the future for sure. But as for sizing, both of these shoes do fit true to size. but they do have a slightly narrow fit, so that is something you're going to want to consider just depending on how much room you like to have whenever you're playing. So for the final ratings, I do like the designs for both of these, but I don't really love either since I did like the look from last year's models better for both. So I'm just going to leave the appearance out of this for a tie. So for cushioning, the Zoom Freak 3 did get more comfortable from last year's model, but still not at the same level as the PG5. I think this is honestly one of the most comfortable shoes that I played in this year, the PG5. And then both of these shoes are going to have some pretty subpar materials at play. So that's definitely where Nike cut the cost on both of these shoe lines. But they did add the strap to the Zoom Freak 3. So I'm going to give it to Giannis's line by a slim margin. But for the support, the PG5s do have a little bit better containment, kind of thanks to those white pieces ranging up from the midsole, a combination of things. That's just kind of how it felt a little more secure while playing in those. And then for traction, it's really not all that close because the PG5s are kind of in their own category just for this specific comparison. I love the traction setup for them, and I don't know, the Zoom Freak 3, it just still needs some adjustments. So that is going to lead to the Nike PG5 winning this performance battle. It's honestly one of my favorite shoes on the market right now just to play in, and you really have to love that super cheap retail price at only $110. So there just really isn't a clear-cut weakness on this shoe except for maybe the quality of the materials. But like I said, for $110, you can live with that. But just in case you want a little more of an in-depth review on each of these shoes, we do have individual reviews live for both pairs where I go a little deeper into each of these models. So feel free to check that out. And then if you're interested in purchasing one or both of these shoes, just check the links in the description below. But that pretty much wraps up our performance comparison. So feel free to leave a comment or interact below. Just let us know if you like this video or anything you may want us to check out. But until next review, I'm Landon from Shoeware. Peace.